Well, good morning. This is Ed Meisiglan, and I'd like to welcome you to this month's webinar. Um, so, so when we talk about our business, about selling businesses, we often don't talk about just what it takes to to sell. We talk about our brokers. We talk about a lot of different things that go into it, and we everybody knows with that we market a business and we confidentially market a business, but we don't ever talk about how it's done. And so today we kind of pull back the curtain a little bit to talk up with our marketing director, Chelsea Van Hookey, that we're going to have her tell us all about the ins and outs of how we find the buyers that buy the businesses that we represent for sale. So Chelsea, if you'll advance the slide. So Chelsea will tell you a little bit about her background here in a second. But for those, look, couple things on housekeeping. The first thing is, as always, these webinars are recorded. So if for whatever reason you have technical difficulty, it is recorded. We will send the slide deck as well as the recording out shortly after the presentation concludes. If you have any questions, we always love hearing from you. You know, it as presenters, it's always great to hear from who's in the audience, because we want to make this as meaningful for you as we can. So without knowing what's going on with you, we can't do that. So on the right hand side of your screen, there's a little chat. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat and I will relay those to Chelsea. So let me tell you a little bit about Indiana Business Advisors first. You know, we're a 40-year-old company. We've done roughly 2,100 transactions. We have 4 locations throughout Indiana. We're probably top 4 in the Midwest as far as size. We do a lot of deals of all sizes, probably 20 million in south in revenue. Um, we're a general we like to call ourselves a generalist, although we have people within the office that have specialties. But at any given time, we represent between 90 and 120 different businesses. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of different businesses for buyers. And so what Chelsea's going to tell you is that not every business can be marketed the same way. So as a brokerage, we have a lot of moving parts that we have to accommodate our clients. So that's about IBA. So let's move to our agenda. The first thing, obviously, is we're going to talk about confidentiality, the marketing process. Chelsea will tell you about our marketing materials and targeting buyers. So, Chelsea, the floor is yours.
Hello. So again, I'm Chelsea. I've been the marketing director here with Indiana Business Advisors over the last almost 3 years. So a lot of the stuff that I do kind of does tend to be behind the scenes. So I think this is helpful. We get a lot of questions in regards to the marketing process. So hopefully this will be helpful for those of you thinking about entering the sale process and really understanding how we go to market with your business. So the key thing, obviously, confidentiality that we'll be talking about throughout the presentation, but this is a key component of our business and maintaining confidentiality throughout the entire sale process with each of our engagements. So we definitely want to keep customers, suppliers, creditors, employees, and competition from any type of negatively affecting the sale process. So especially with employees, we don't want them to know about the sale, as this can lead to turnover and therefore affect the rest of the sale process. So we do not list any business for sale with specific information, and we also don't utilize any type of for sale signs at business locations. So how do we keep the confidentiality? So like I said, this is something that is one of the key components of our business. And so we utilize non-disclosures and financial disclosures on each of the engagements that we have. We do take multiple steps to ensure confidentiality is kept by all parties, again, through the complete sale process. And we do have non-disclosures that are signed for each inquired listing that a buyer might be interested in. And so throughout this process, the broker will be educating the buyer as to how to maintain that confidentiality, what information is to be kept confidential, and then just reinforcement of these commitments throughout the whole process. So later on, we'll talk about some post-sale marketing and what that looks like. But again, confidentiality is kept all the way until the sale of the business, and there are some different aspects as to how we market after the business has closed as well.
Yeah, and I would probably add that most of the buyers, and I'd say probably 80% are first time buyers, and so they don't they're just excited to get into business. They don't know what they don't know. So the education process, and we always tell everybody, if you've listened to some of our other buyer webinars, we talk more people out of business than into business because they just don't understand what they're getting themselves into. And so we take an extremely hard and diligent process into this is what you're this is the confidentiality. You will damage the business if you breach that. This is the amount of money that you need to come to the table with in order to buy a business like this. And oh, by the way, not only do you have to buy the business, you also have to provide the working capital, and here's funding sources. And so the education process is an integral part to maintaining that confidentiality. So thank you for
Yeah, and I
letting
will
me.
say there is qualification on buyers, and we'll touch on that a little bit later as far as how we qualify that buyer. Even though non-disclosure is signed, does that specifically mean that they're going to see your business? No, it doesn't. And so we'll kind of get into what that process looks like with the broker a little bit later on. So moving into the marketing process, and we'll go into detail on each of these. So the first step is we're going to gather the information on your business. So this is between the seller and the broker working to gather that information that we will use to go to market. And then the next step is we'll use this information to create the marketing materials that will both be front facing and then also for internal use. And then we will go to market with this information. And then we do get into specific buyer targeting, and then we'll move into what happens with post-sale marketing. So again, the initial step is going to be the gathering of information on your business. So the broker will develop a pre-due diligence list for the seller to gather and be available at various times throughout the sale process. And again, to maintain confidentiality, we will have various pieces that will be generic business information, and then we will have pieces of marketing material that do have detailed business information. And I will say that this is probably one of the areas that we can see some of the hurdles within this process, just because this can be a long time from when we're getting the information from the seller. And the sooner that we're able to gather this information, the sooner we're able to go to market. So it's really important to have this information ready and available to review with the broker as we start the process. So moving into the second step, so the creation of marketing materials. And the first thing that we create is called the confidential business profile, also known as the CBP. So this is going to be our outward facing marketing material that we will post out to the general public when we're ready to go to market. And again, to maintain confidentiality, this is going to have generic business information such as a general description. We will place revenue and cash flow on this, typically about the last 2 to 3 years worth. We'll have a generic detail of what equipment is included, the number of employees that you currently have, a generic reason for sale. We do list the asking price, and there are some occasions where we will not have an asking price just based on the seller and broker and what they've determined is the best way to go to market. And then we do provide a general location. So typically this would be, the state of Indiana, or we'll list central Indiana of various descriptions of locations within the state. And that really helps within buyer targeting so that we can target a specific location if your business is headquartered there. And so next, this is an example of a confidential business profile that we've used in the past. So as you'll see, we have a generic header detailing what type of business this is and what industry they're in. And then again, a general location. The summary is going to be one of the most important things. So this is going to be basically what's going to detail this business to the buyer. So again, we don't want to have business specific information in here, but we will include items such as, some of your products and services, maybe who your customer is, as well as some information regarding financials. Within the last year, obviously with COVID, we've had a lot of COVID updates that we've put in here just based on, if businesses are performing very well throughout COVID, we'll definitely want to highlight that as that can be an attraction to a potential buyer. And then down here, we'll have some more of the generic business information, including you'll see here an asking price with some inventory information. Again, some of the financial information we include on here. If you do have lease or real estate information, we will include that as well. And then we'll get into some of the employee information on here as well. So this is what we go to market with and what the general public sees as the initial engagement. The second piece of marketing material that we work on is the confidential business review, or the CBR. So this is going to be the business specific information, and after a non-disclosure has been signed, this is what we will give to the buyer that has more detailed information on the business opportunity, including the specific business name, location, financials, tax documents, and then key management information that we'll have in there. And so this is an example of what one of our CBRs looks like. It will kind of come in a packet form, but again, we'll have the exact business name with the specific location. And this is going to be a more detailed company summary. So we can get into more specifics of the business. Some of the history will go in here and just kind of build out that story for the buyer to view there. Third, we'll add some operations in and detail all of your employees, whether they're full or part-time, and what that transition will look like after the sale closes. Here we have a list of products and suppliers. Again, we'll add detailed location and any specific information in regards to real estate or lease information that you might have on your building. And then we'll include financial statements, tax returns, etc. here. And then when the broker goes out for a facility tour, he will take pictures, and these can also be from the seller as well. So we'll include facility pictures on here. So this tends to be around a 15-page booklet that we are providing to the buyer after the non-disclosure has been signed.
And let me add one thing from a confidentiality standpoint. We sold this company, and so you may be able to see the name there. So we do have permission to use the name of this company. So that
Yeah.
so anyway.
And we'll talk
So
about post-sale marketing and how that kind of ties into how we're able to use this information afterwards.
right, I just didn't want anyone to think that
Yeah.
this was actually a business for sale.
Yes. Okay, so the next step is we're going to take these marketing materials and actually go to market with your engagement. So again, what we're doing as far as the initial marketing, we're going to use that CBP generic information to go out to the general public. So we use this information to advertise on multiple websites. So we're advertising on BizBuySell, Sunbelt, businessbroker.net, as well as a handful of other websites to market your business. We do also utilize our internal database. We have around over 10,000 active buyers within our database that we will do email marketing campaigns to. And this kind of ties into some of the social media posting that we will do as well. We'll get into some buyer targeting later on, but we do do strategic targeting for buyers, and we will use these lists to send out direct mail campaigns and reach various business owners within targeting that we've pulled. And then we'll also do internal marketing. So within our brokers here in the office, they all have, personal networks of buyers that they've worked with, and they know what they're interested in. So we're able to discuss these engagements and utilize those networks within our brokerage. So here are some examples of marketing campaigns that we've used. So as you can see, everything is based on the CBP and the general business information. Again, based on what the seller has provided, we'll determine how much we push out. So if we have, revenue numbers in sales or cash flow, we'll be able to push that out. And these are also approved by the seller before we do any type of marketing. So the broker will provide the CBP and CBR to the seller before we go to market, and they have final approval on what we are putting out as far as marketing materials or any revisions that need to be done before we actually push anything out. Okay, so moving into buyer targeting. So we definitely want to define the likely buyer of your business based on the greatest benefit to them. So we're going to use industry data to identify a list of potential strategic buyers. We use a database that we're able to target very specifically buyers that would be interested in acquiring your business. And then the other aspect of that is we will have sellers that come to us with various contact lists, whether that be competitors that they know within the market or other personal contacts that they would like to be contacted about their business for sale. And again, we will confidentially contact them. So we do not let them know that, we have been given their information from the seller. We don't market the business with the specific information. This is all still general information that we are utilizing from the seller. And then lastly is we do have use of the Sunbelt Affiliate Network. So as a Sunbelt Network affiliate, we have access to a network of buyers across the country that we can utilize for specific business engagements. So this is definitely a bonus of working with Indiana Business Advisors, is that we do have a very wide range of buyers that we can attract for each of the engagements that we have. Okay, so kind of moving into kind of what we had touched on earlier in regards to engagement, inquiry, communication, and what happens after that buyer has signed a non-disclosure. So again, like we had stated earlier, that signing a non-disclosure does not automatically mean that that buyer is going to see your business. So the initial meeting is between the buyer and the broker, and they will then screen the buyer to determine that if that is a qualified prospect. So on top of having them sign a non-disclosure, first-time buyers within our brokerage also fill out a buyer profile. So this details past experience, assets, how much money they have to put into the business, and the broker is able to use this information to then further qualify whether this prospect would be a good buyer for this business. So throughout the entire process, you will be advised as to what communication inquiries are coming through on your business. And from scheduling tours to facilitating the closing, the advisor is going to navigate the sale process with as much discretion and ease as possible. And this will allow for you to continue to operate your business throughout the entire transaction. So we definitely want to make sure that you're able to continue the business operations as normally as possible as we work through the sale process. Okay, buyer meetings. So after a broker has determined that we have a qualified buyer and you are in contact with this buyer now, we do want to, again, still maintain confidentiality throughout this entire process. So anytime you have facility meetings or phone calls, we do want to have these scheduled for either after business hours, off-site, to preserve confidentiality of the sale. So definitely making sure that they don't have access to office phone numbers, that everything will be filtered through the seller, so they're not coming in contact with someone who's not a part of the sale, again, just to preserve that confidentiality throughout the entire process. Okay, and post-sale marketing. So again, just because we've worked throughout this whole process, that does not mean that we do have or access to promote the business with specific information even after we've closed. So we do need to have both seller and buyer sign off on what we call a Tombstone Agreement, and this would allow us post-sale to go to market and announce that we have sold this specific business. So again, you'll see here an example of a business that we do have a signed Tombstone announcement for. So we were able to announce the sale of this specific business name as well as location, and we had the buyer and seller both sign off on this. So if we do not have permission to announce the sale, we will just go to post-sale marketing with the generic business information that we started with back within the CBP. And so that's pretty much the entire marketing process. Again, the main thing that we're trying to do here is maintain confidentiality and work with the broker to determine qualified buyers to then get in front of you to get to the post sale here. Okay, we did not have any questions come in beforehand. So Ed, if you have any questions in the chat.
Uh, at the moment, I don't. I guess I would hope that you would touch upon a little bit more on how we're targeting, I guess some of the websites that we're using, some of, what's the most effective means for us to get buyers, and who are the most effective buyers, who are the best buyers, where are
Yeah,
they coming from?
so there's a couple different areas that we utilize. So like I had mentioned, we'll advertise on Biz by Sell. Since we are a Sunbelt affiliate, we'll advertise on Sunbelt's website as well as on our own. And since we are advertising on all these websites, we do get fed to other listing sites as well. And so these sites are important because they're the highest traffic websites. And so we want to have each engagement posted out there with the most views. And then again, those inquiries will come directly to us. So that's one of our top sources for sourcing buyers is on the internet, on the top sites where people are going to look for businesses for sale. And then since we've been around for over 40 years, we definitely have a built up database of already basically pre-qualified buyers that have worked with our brokers in the past that we're able to utilize and send specific business engagements to them based on interest that they've had in the past or what they've inquired on. And so our database is really rich with a lot of buyers that we're able to target immediately as soon as we have that business ready to go to market. And so I think that's one of the biggest things too is, being able to have that information ready to go as we're getting all the information started for the marketing materials. The sooner that we can get that information ready to go, the sooner we can go to market. And so after it's out to market is when I start working with the broker to determine what type of buyer we are really looking for this business. So whether that's going to be a strategic partner or if there's local competitors that we think we can target that might be looking to grow through acquisition. We'll do a detailed search of various contacts that we can either send direct mail out to or do email campaigns, connect through LinkedIn to let them know about this engagement and provide an interest if they might be looking to grow through acquisition.
Yeah, is there, you know, having been in the business for a long time, I mean that the the newspaper used to be a means for awareness for buyers, and now the internet has replaced that, and we all get that. I guess where I'm going with this is I'm just curious to know, or what do you think? Is this kind of the way it's going to continue to be, or what's the evolution of sellers are coming to the market? Is it going to continue to work through the internet, or how, if I'm a seller, how do I find that best buyer? Is it going to be through the network of the broker, or through referrals, or is it through Biz by Sell or through IBA's website? How who's going to find me my best buyer?
Yeah, so I think, I mean, obviously technology changes constantly, and that's why, we're on so many various platforms because we want to be on the best platforms out there. And I think as technology evolves, there will definitely be new things out there for us to locate buyers on. But I would say, utilizing a business broker, we have so many tools at our disposal that a lot of sellers, if they're looking to just list their business themselves on a website, they're not going to have the specific tools that we have to go out and find targeted buyers, as well as our history of being in business, having a referral source of these buyers in our database that we already are in communication with, and know that they're actively seeking out new engagements. And so I think, working with us and working with a business broker to utilize our vast array of tools and sources and platforms that we have is the best option, and will definitely get your listing out in front of the most potential buyers, instead of only being able to reach one or two sources trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking also, is that, you know, the I think we understate, just the horsepower that as soon as we press buttons on just the confidential exposure that happens. And I guess that, since we don't have any questions, and that's as a result of, your thorough presentation, but I think that's what we should leave with is, when you press go, what all happens? I mean, talk a little bit about, it's simultaneously this whole process initiates. So finish off with, because we're talking 10, at least 10,000 emails. I know that. Then we're talking, strategics. Then we're talking websites. I mean, talk about the number of views and then wrap it up from there.
Yeah. So again, like I kind of mentioned beforehand, I think just having the amount of tools and resources that we have, and the exposure, also being a part of the Sunbelt affiliate, definitely increases the amount of people that you're going to get your engagement in front of. And so once we go to market, your listing is being shown on, at least 5 to 10 platforms, based on industries and various groups that we're in that we can showcase various engagements to. And so the exposure amount is just going to be, an increased amount compared to, what someone who's not knowing what tools are out there for selling your business, or having not been, within this market, they might not know, if they think, oh, I can just list my business for sale on this website and we'll see what happens, when there's actually a lot more that kind of goes into that, and planning and strategy, to make sure that we get the right, not only just a lot of buyers for your business, but the right buyer for the business.
Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. I didn't see the person's name, but thank you. You're welcome. Somebody's saying thank you for being so thorough. Um, okay, so next month we've kind of penciled in a date, but our topic, we're debating whether we're going specific or we're going to continue to go wide. But I know we're tentatively on June 21st, but we'll keep you posted on that. So as always, I mean, if we have an open shop. We haven't been doing this for 40 years, not being open with the people we serve. So if there's anything, whether it's, hey, how do you value a business, to, hey, I have a situation, can you help me with it? We'll let you know when we got to turn the meter on. We are generous with information. We always have, and we always will. As long as the doors are open, we will continue to do that. So you can reach me, and Chelsea is too. Chelsea, you can reach her at Chelsea at Indiana Business Advisors, and she's more than happy to talk to you about how we specifically market businesses. Because we did give you an overview of what we do, but there's a lot more to it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and if we can, like I said, if we can ever be of service to you, just let us know. And we appreciate your time this morning, and we hope you have a great day. Thank you.